I'm sure that you have gotten one of these yet. If you haven't gotten one, make sure you download your free copy below this video. This is my newest opus, Hanon meets Bach, 20 contrapuntal etudes in C minor. Metamorphoses of Charles Louis Hanon's The Virtuoso Pianist in 60 Exercises, Part 1. So let me tell you in short what this is. Basically, I take one of Hanon's sequences from Part 1, from each of the exercises, and then I turn those into Bach-style exercises, as if Bach got his hands on Hanon. So I've explained in previous videos a little bit more about this. I've given you demonstrations. Now in this video, this is a really important video because I'm going to show you various ways you can practice these. And it's really amazing what you can do. It doesn't look like you can do so much with these, but there is so much you can do and so much you can learn. Now I'm going to use one as an example. I'm going to use number 20. Just because I've been working on it and I like it. I mean, I love all of these etudes, but I like 20. 20 really is the only etude in this set that where you really have an arpeggio, where you have really stretching going on. All of the other 19 seem to be more scalar, closer hand positions together. So in number 20, you have to expand your position open a little bit. I like to work on it just because I like the feeling of it. I love the feeling of number 20. I also like the sound of it. So look at number 20. Make sure you have my updated version, the version which is in this updated book here. So I remember I gave some of you free PDFs a couple weeks back, and that was sort of a previous version. So make sure you get an updated version if you don't have one, and look at number 20. Okay, so here's what you do. Instead of just trying to play this thing through as written, I mean, you can do that. If you're already a virtuoso and you can do that, fine, great. But I'm a piano teacher and I'm interested in figuring out ways of teaching students how to play this. I'm currently updating the Well-Rounded Pianist website, my subscription website, and I'll have much more on there on this and also on my second edition of the Well-Tempered Hanon coming out very shortly. But here on YouTube, I want to make this a public video for everyone to explain how to practice. The first thing is I would suggest taking the flats out. So pretend or imagine there were no flats at all. No flats, it's in C major. There are no accidentals written in, so no flats or anything like that. So take the flats and sharps away, take the key signature away and play it in C major. But here's the thing. First, don't play it as written. Take the right hand. I'm going to play the right hand a little bit on number 20 in C major. All white keys. Okay, you have that. That's Hanon's original. Okay, that's Hanon. That's not me, that's not Bach. That's Hanon. Now, what you want to do, the first step, is take that, starting on E with your, so you want to start on E, play it in octaves. Don't play the left hand as written here. Play the left hand actually down 3 notes from there. So start the left hand on E. You're going to play in the left hand exactly, it'll be like Hanon's original. But Hanon's original goes like this. Hanon's original goes an octave lower. It's like... Okay, that's Hanon's original, which is fine. But for our purposes here, let's spread our hands out 2 octaves. So we're going to go... start with E in the left, E in the right. All I did was I just imagined the flats not being there, and the left hand is just doubling the right hand. So I'm basically just looking at the right hand line and doubling it with the left hand. Most pianists can do that instinctually. That's not really a really difficult thing to do. So I would suggest first playing in unison or with 2 octaves apart in C major. So first you just do it in C major, and if you do that, you're just going to get halfway through because you can't invert it because it's not in harmony. You're playing the same note in both hands. So after you do that, then you try to do it as written, harmonized, but still all white keys, no flats mixed in. So now I'm going to do what I just did. So what I just did sounded like this. Okay, now I'm going to do it as written, but without the flats. So it's going to be harmonized in C major, basically. So the left hand will go, and the right hand will go. If you put them together, they sound like this. C major, no flats. C major sound there. And so whatever fingering you have worked out, you know, I'll go into more detail on fingering in the Well-Tempered Hanon 2nd edition. But for fingering aside, whatever fingering you use, you want to make sure you do that in major and minor. So you're not going to change your fingering any. The fingering will remain the same for all of these versions. And then after that, okay, so we did, so let me just review what we've done. We've done first just the right hand, the right hand and by itself, and we doubled that in the left hand with white keys in C major, took all the flats away. Then we harmonized them as written, but still took the flats away. Okay, now we're gonna do it in an intermediate way. We're not gonna put in the accidentals yet, but we're gonna put the flats in. So now we're gonna play it in the natural minor. So the natural minor will be, we're gonna play all B, E, and A flats, and we're not gonna do any of the naturals written in. So that's the natural minor. It's a little tricky at first because where you have a B or A natural here, those will be flats. So everything, those three notes will be flatted. And that will sound like this. Oh, actually, no. I would first do it that way, but first do the natural minor doubling the right hand like we did in C major. So instead of we're going to do it as written. And the left hand will double that. So let's do it now. We're going to play half of it because it's not going to be harmonized. We're only going to go to the halfway point, the midway point. We're going to play both hands now in C natural minor, no accidentals. And it's in just 2 octaves apart. Natural minor, remember, you're not going to have that Picardy third, the tierce de Picardy, as it's called in music theory terms. You're not going to have that because it's natural minor. So you have to make that E an E flat. So like that, okay? That's the natural minor. So you need to, I think it's good to be able to play it in the natural minor first. Play first in the major and then the natural minor. Then go all the way and then try the free form minor is what I call it, with the accidentals mixed in, which is sort of a mixture between melodic and harmonic minor. So let's take now, well, let's harmonize it now in the natural minor. So instead of we're going to do this. We're going to as written. That's harmonized as written in natural minor. Now, all you have to do is just add those naturals. So you see the process you go through? You start in major. The major allows you to work on fingerings and work on motions and things, but you don't have to deal with black keys and flats and naturals and all that. So you start there. You start with major in unison, then you do it in harmony, and then you do the same thing with natural minor first in unison or 2 octaves apart, then in harmony as written, and then you go all out, and then you just add those naturals. And it's an interesting thing to do, to compare all of these modes. And I'm going to play it in those 3 modes in a second. But let's add now the naturals. So I'm going to do as written everything. No, this just occurred to me. No, we have to first do it in unison as written. So we're going to put in all the naturals, but we're not going to harmonize it. We're going to double the left hand with the right hand. So still, we're going to start on E flat here. So let's do that. We're going to put in all the accidentals though too. Okay. Accidentals. So you see, I was even reading, I was struggling a little bit with my reading there. So these are great exercises for your reading skills too, because you have to take away flats or add flats in or imagine the flats not being there. But the great thing is the notes remain unchanged. The notes are all the same. So you don't do anything with the notes on the lines and the spaces. You're just altering the notes with the accidentals. It's kind of like wild cards in playing cards, with jokers. They can be anything. So naturals, accidentals in there can vary. But I think it's a good idea to be able to practice these in various ways. So don't think that you can only play it the way it's written on the page with all the naturals. You need to practice it all the ways. And I do that myself. I like to sit down and play these in C major, for example. So I don't always play them exactly as written. I like to experiment a little bit with practice techniques. So now I'm going to play it through in major again. I'll play just half just to save time. I'll play it from beginning up to measure 15. And I'm going to play it in C major as written with the harmonies here. C major, all white keys, no flats, everything's fine. Now, C natural minor, just 3 flats, no naturals anywhere. I actually like that one a lot. Actually, that progression going down, some of that sounded a little like the Canon by Pachelbel. I don't know. It reminded me of that. Okay, that's natural minor, which sounds fine. But just to spice it up a little bit now, we're going to add all these naturals. And so it's going to sound more minor. It's going to sound more minor than the natural minor. That's the halfway point. Well, I may as well just play it more. I'll go to the end. it's really, I think, amazing how many ways you can get so much out of these 20 etudes, so much out of them. And I didn't even talk about fingering yet, because in my book, The Well-Tempered Hanon, in my new and improved second edition, which I'm working on right now, which will be out shortly, I'm discussing fingering. And I'm discussing that I make the point that you should actually practice these with at least 2 fingerings. So I do have suggested fingerings in my upcoming Well-Tempered Hanon, but I also suggest and my fingerings are alternate fingerings. They're not like Hanon's fingerings. But I also suggest traditional fingerings, the ones that Hanon gives. So I also suggest to practice these with, this one isn't a great example, but there are others that have, I use drastically different fingerings than Hanon uses. I call these speed fingerings, fingerings that help you play faster, that aren't so restrictive. But I think it is a good idea also to practice the traditional fingerings, but very slowly for these, just so you can sort of get all your fingers working, especially if you're a beginner. So if you're a beginner or intermediate, I would highly suggest traditional fingerings on this at very slow tempos. But if you want to start speeding them up, then that's where my alternate speed fingerings come into play, because they're much better than Hanon's for attaining speed. So thank you for joining me. I'm really happy that you've downloaded these and you're working on these and you're interested in them. I've had an overwhelming response for these etudes, and I really am glad that I'm helping everyone out, giving people new material to work on. Share this with other pianists or piano teachers or students that you have. These are absolutely fantastic etudes. You know, even if you don't agree with accidentals in there, which I added, which are my personal sort of choice, even if you don't agree with those, you need to get this in practice, at least in major, at least in the major key. So these are literal Hanons, just simply played in harmony. And that's really easy to do. You can do that easily without any sheet music. But if you buy this beautiful book, this beautiful hard copy here, you can get it, you know, get a nice, beautiful manuscript of it here. So I hope that this helps you out. There's probably a dozen different ways that you can practice these and that you should practice them. So once again, don't think that you can only play them the way they look on the page. There's lots of ways of practicing them. Take advantage of that. Also take advantage of the Well-Rounded Pianist. I want to be your personal professor there. So go over to the Well-Rounded Pianist and join, especially right now with the Black Friday 30% off sale going on. So thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for more videos like this in the future.